Glenn and Leon of LHD Vending are here, and they just see potential customer base walking by in the camera there. On the phone, Ross is called in from New York. Ross, you have a question for our guests? What do you want to know?
I absolutely do. Thanks for taking my call. First, actually, I got to say I'm really hungry with all this Nathan's hot dogs and Chick-fil-A you're talking about.
We are too.
My question is this: my girlfriend and I, actually, my girlfriend more so than I, is an artist, and she creates characters that have sort of bios, and they have a cartoon pop feel to them. And I, being more the business-oriented one in the relationship, I'm trying to help her take her company to the next level. And we're trying to figure out how to really build a brand. And what I mean by that more so than anything is, do we start with, like, we were thinking we could do T-shirts or we could do all sorts of things, book bags. But, we don't want to spend a super amount of money at first to really start this company. So what's the best way to really approach it is my question, I guess.
Yeah.
I think branding always starts with getting a list of brand attributes together. You need to know what your brand stands for. You need to understand that. It needs to be pithy and succinct. And then you need to find a branding campaign that really delivers that message clearly to the target that you're trying to reach. You need to understand the playing field and how your brand is going to fit into that playing field and how those brand attributes meet up with the demand in that marketplace.
I'm a big believer that your audience is ultimately a huge part of building your brand identity. And so the first thing I would say is before you kind of put on all of the glitz and the glamour, I would suggest first trying to identify your audience. See where you can identify the target niches that they live in, what they read, what they want to be a part of, and find ways to get them to see your product, to identify, to work with, to basically live with your brand, and that'll kind of come naturally. Then you could talk about the websites and what the collateral materials and all of the T-shirt ideas are, but really before you kind of figure out where the revenue generating opportunities are, figure out how first to gain traction, because without traction you really don't have a brand.
Okay, so it's less about outputting a lot of money to try to get all this product and more about building a buzz and doing some fun things to create marketing and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
and figuring out what a business plan is, too.
You can finish your thoughts.
No, absolutely. I was just going to say, you don't really know what your business plan is until you know what the market you're targeting is, and if they feel that your product is something they want to make and be part of their lives. So first, I would say find your audience, go to the online forums, go to various touch points that you can get to that audience and make them kind of respond to you, see what kind of traction.
Not knowing the characters, is it children, is it adults, is it tweens?
Well, I definitely think it's geared towards tweens. I mean, what she does, the name of her thing is it's called winkwinkpony.com, and it's similar to, it's different, but it's similar to, say, a Hello Kitty. So it's, there are characters and they have bios, and each one has their own personality. So we definitely know that, it's tweens and younger kids, and that sort of, it's a similar thing to Hello Kitty.
Don, he hit Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty is one of the great brand successes of all time. It's a case study because of Hello Kitty has no mouth, has basically the buyer and puts an identity on Hello Kitty, and it's on everything from guitars to shoes.
It's funny.
That's the problem. That's the problem for us is figuring. They have so much that they have it on. It could be a Christmas ornament to a book bag to.
But it all started with what they wanted that brand to be. But go ahead.
Yeah, I had an opportunity almost 12 years ago now when I was doing an internet entertainment site to negotiate with Universal Studios for a lot of the cartoon assets that were owned. And at that time, there was Rocky and Bullwinkle, Woody Woodpecker, a lot of names that are very familiar to a certain generation of Americans. What was funny to me was these assets were now all in the hands of the grandchildren of the creator. And so it was licensing rights downstream. And what I learned from talking to those people is I think it's fairly critical that you develop the character as richly and as deeply and as meaningfully for the audience as you can. You're not branding a company that creates characters, you're branding characters. And so if you say Rocky and Bullwinkle, if you're old enough, or if you say, some of these other characters, I was involved with Spyro, which was a little winged dragon that was in computer games. They have to be real, they have to be palpable, the kids will adopt them. I think there's two things to consider. One is you have to be patient, it's going to take a while. And two is if you do succeed, it'll go forever.
Yeah, if the character is interesting enough, I mean, that's an example of a business you can start with literally just putting on a T-shirt. What's the guy in LA who was an artist also with the monkey? Is it Paul Frank or something?
Paul Frank.
Yeah.
No, not the hot dog joke, but you just literally put this funny looking monkey on like T-shirts, and then now it's like on bicycles and everything. It's really blown out and been a huge business. But I think as an artist, if you want to be the person, you want to think what would be a funny place to put this and will people buy it, and you can test that on a really small budget.
Guys, just shift.